I want someone to come and try and knock Anthony Joshua out. That's what I want. I don't want a guy who turns up not really believing they can win, gets knocked out in 2 rounds without throwing punches. I want a guy that comes with confidence and heart and belief. And there's 2 or 3 guys that will do that, and Andy's one of them.
They announced that he wanted a rematch, but after another champion, Estrada. How soon can we see something like that?
After what? What did he say?
They want a rematch, a 3rd one?
Yeah.
How soon can we see that?
Soon as. I mean, like, Rung Visai come up to me and please give me number 3, please. I think the rematch in Mexico would be incredible, or in LA. You know, you know what you're getting every time. You're getting value for money. The second fight was arguably as good as the first fight. Rung Visai started boxing orthodox for the first 6 or 7 rounds, and when he switched to southpaw, he was doing really well. I mean, I gave Rung Visai probably 3 of the last 4 rounds, something like that, which made it a close fight. But in the early rounds and the middle rounds, I thought Estrada was fantastic. But I don't know the tactics behind.
Did you ask? Did you ask Rung Visai?
Not really. My tie's not great, but you know, it's going to be interesting. I don't know what the game plan was, but when he went back to southpaw, he boxed really well and he was getting a lot of success. I'd like him to fight Jaime Munguia. I mean, it's a bad cut, so he's not going to be ready till probably September, October. But you know, I think that's a natural fight. Jesse Vargas and Jaime Munguia are both with the zone. It would be a fight for Jesse to become a 3-weight world champion. I'd love to be able to get it for him. So fingers crossed. I'm not sure. I think Kell Brook's angling for the Terence Crawford fight. We'll see if we can get him there.
Danny Roman became a unified champion.
Oh, it'd be amazing. Danny Roman against Navarrete is a great fight. Danny Roman against Ray Vargas is a great fight. I'd like him to go back-to-back unification fights. I'd like him to go with the Ray Vargas fight and the Navarrete fight straight after. Why not? And I'd also like to see TJ get another chance. I mean, through 9 or 10 rounds, I thought he was in the fight and probably, if not ahead, drawing the fight. And then Danny finished well, hit him with a great body shot, and he was a deserved winner.
Great night tonight.
Amazing.
Every fight was better than one before.
Yeah, it was amazing. Sometimes everything just goes perfectly. And this is our first card in Los Angeles, so we've learned a huge amount. I'd like to go on a Saturday next time, but I loved it, and it's about everyone that was here tonight. I believe they'll be back for the next Matchroom event, and hopefully that won't be too long.
What is Anthony Joshua doing right now? He's training.
What is he doing? Probably sleeping, or in a nightclub. No, I'm only joking. But he's just preparing hard. I mean, yeah, we've got a good idea. I mean, I think this weekend, Sunday, we'll probably get an announcement. It's not done yet. There are things to tie up. It can switch back to someone else, but it's not long now.
Eddie, can we talk about who is the priority for Anthony Joshua, the number 2 most popular fighter in the world today? Who does he want to fight? We know that Deontay Wilder has
Who's
declined.
the number 2 popular? Who's that?
Anthony Joshua.
Why is he
Canelo
number 2?
Alvarez is the most popular fighter in the world. I'm just,
You're
look,
talking about
I'm
in America.
unbiased.
You're talking about in
In the
America.
world.
Okay. Oh.
Anthony Joshua is the number 2 most popular fighter in the world.
Okay, next
Who does-
question.
Who does he want to fight next?
Talk to us about how hard it was to get Devin Haney.
He wants Wilder. Devin Haney.
Yeah, Devin Haney. How hard was that signing? I mean, we've
Very
seen
difficult.
every
Yeah.
single promoter
Everybody
was after him.
everybody wanted Devin Haney, from advisors to promoters to networks. That was a big coup for us, and I'm pleased that Devin saw the vision with us. He's a new wave fighter, new era fighter. He loves the idea of the streaming platform. He understands the zone, he understands the model, he understands the business, and he believed that was the right fit for him. So that was a big win for us. Obviously, he's headlined on Showtime for most of his career. Every promoter wanted him, and to get him is a major honor.
So now it's May 25th. He'll make his Matchroom and DAZN debut. A little different for him. He's used to headlining. He will be on the Usyk undercard.
Yeah.
Great card. Talk to us about Haney, not just on that card, but the card itself. You got Usyk.
You got Michael Hunter as well on that card if you don't fight Joshua.
Correct.
You've got Filip Hrgovic. You've got McCaskill.
Unification fight.
Unification against Sanchez. You know your stuff. And we've got Devin Haney, and we've got Alexander Usyk's heavyweight debut. It's a massive card.
Povetkin not going to be on that
No,
card
not on
after.
that card. No,
Okay.
he'll be out in July.
What's the big picture with Devin Haney? What's the
To fight for the WBC title. I mean, if the WBC go down their rankings, which is what happens when there's a vacant title, it'll be Luke Campbell against Abdullayev. Abdullayev is observing Ramadan. He won't be available until September. Therefore, it should be Luke Campbell against Devin Haney. There's talk of Lomachenko. I don't believe that the WBC should order a fight between Luke Campbell and Lomachenko. You know, they should order it between the first 2 available fighters in the rankings, and that would be Campbell and Haney right now.
What kind of career do you think you guys can guide Devin Haney?
He's 20 years old. You know, he's had 21 fights. It's incredible. But they want to fight everyone now. You know, they said if there's an eliminator against Teofimo Lopez, if there's a fight with Lomachenko, if there's a fight with Campbell, we're ready for all of them. And you know, he's only going to get better. He's a baby, really. And already he's lighting up the division.
Obviously he's looking for a world title, but what about a potential fight in the future with Ryan Garcia?
Great fight, yeah, he'd take that fight now. Doesn't have to be in the future.
It can be now.
Yeah, why not?
Has he talked, did he mention he was interested?
Yeah, he wants that fight, but you know, I'm not sure Golden Boy will want that fight. But if they did,
why wouldn't Golden Boy want that fight?
I think they're taking their time with Ryan Garcia. I think they know Ryan Garcia is a great talent. He's got a lot to learn, so is Devin. But I think Devin would roll the dice in that fight now. I'm not sure Golden Boy would. If they want to, we'd absolutely love to.
Do you think Devin is going to be able to continue to headline his own events? He's
been headlining showbox events, so at certain levels. When he's on a card with someone like Alexander Usyk, but the plan is if he fights for a vacant world title, he'd be headlining. You know, and if he wins a world title, he'd definitely be headlining. So that's the plan for him to headline events. But obviously, when you're on a huge card, sometimes you might have to go co-main.
With him being so young, do you think that there's a rush? Because I mean,
no rush,
he's already 7.
They want it now.
He's already number 7 in the WBC rankings.
He's 4 in the WBC.
I'm sorry. He could be fighting for that title next.
Yeah.
What's the plan with his career at only 20 years old?
They want to go for it now. They want to go for it now. You know, Bill Haney knows what he's doing. He knows Devin inside out. They're ready. They said they'll fight absolutely anyone now.
What do you think convinced him to come with his own Matchroom? What was the one thing that...
He said that I'm very handsome. And we got on well, you know, and I like Bill. I like what they've done. And what I like about it is, I'm not massive on fighters having their own promotional company and stuff like that, but I think he realised that he needs a partner, you know, and he's taking it to a certain level. Devin Haney Promotions still exists. We're working alongside each other, but I think he's acknowledged he needs some firepower and he needs some machinery, and we're going to be pushing Devin Haney's profile and trying to make him a star.
Because
how do you feel about Ammo Williams' debut?
Do you think it's going to sell out still June 1st? Regardless of who Anthony Joshua fights?
There's already 12,000 Brits coming. They ain't going nowhere.
Eddie, how do you feel about Ammo Williams' debut?
Who? Devin Haney. 100%. He breaks down the door. You know, of fighters that have been on Showtime or chased by the PBC to say, it's okay. You know, there's light at the end of the tunnel. We're here for you.
Yeah, because if you saw Errol Spence's recent tweet, he said that it's me and now Heyman. Forget what everybody else is saying, that I need a new promoter or whatever. Like, where do you stand on that in terms of like Errol Spence?
Errol Spence is going to do what Errol Spence is going to do. I'm sure he got paid very well for the last fight.
And
Anthony Spence Jr.
Disappointing, to be honest with you. Got the win in a tough fight. It was good for him to be in a proper fight for once.
You weren't disappointed about Ammo Williams?
No, I wasn't. I thought Ammo was outstanding, but there's much more tough nights to come for Ammo.
When will we see him again?
You're going to see him June the 1st at the Garden. I've given him the slot. He's very happy about that. He's never been to New York in his life. His sister lives in New York. He's a character, and he can punch. He's a vicious motherfucker. And he's only had 40 amateur fights. He started boxing 3 years ago. You know, he's a character. And we've got some great young fighters. Diego Pacheco tonight. He's a baby. He's just turned 18. But you saw the response. I mean, he could be a big star, 6'5".
Do you expect to have Ammo in Houston fighting some cards down there?
Love to. Well, it looks like we're going to be in Texas in July with Maurice Hooker. So that'll be another one for Ammo. Going to box him 8 times this year.
Eddie, are you going to stay involved with the 115-pound division moving forward? Obviously, the top guys are a lot cheaper than some of the bigger weight classes you deal with, and they always put on tough fights. So I'm just curious.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think it's wonderful that those divisions are getting the exposure that they're getting the money they're getting. Like tonight, you'd watch that 100 times, that fight, you know, and you could run it back and run it back and run it back. I don't think there are many high-profile fights like Rungasai against Estrada in that division, but we have Cal Yafai, WBA world champion as well. It's a unification fight. You know, but I would like to see that one again. Maybe even in Mexico this time.
How easy was it to make the first time, and how easy?
Paid them a lot of money, you know, especially for super flyweights. But it was a mandated fight, so you know, whilst I'd like to take all the credit, it was a bit easier because it was mandated by the WBC.
Besides Joshua Wilder, what's the next biggest fight that you want to make?
Tevin Farmer against Gervonta Davis. The Danny Jacobs Triple G rematch when he wins next week.
Have you figured out Diego Pacheco's?
Now you're with Kell Brook.
Him against Terrence Crawford. Do you think that's a fight that could actually?
Yes, I think they've. Who else are they going to fight? They don't have any other opponents.
Have you figured out Diego Pacheco's name? He's been waiting.
Yeah,
He just
El
won.
Nino. But isn't there a few people called El Nino?
No, but you were supposed to give
El
him a
Nino.
moniker. That's
But
what you're going to give
is
him?
It's a bit
No.
obvious, isn't it? No.
No.
No?
He doesn't like that.
Okay, I'll work on that.
Eddie, talk to us about 8 days from now. Obviously, you just spoke on your fighter, Dan Jacobs. And
I'll tell you, all I have to say is this.
Very tough unification.
Mexico won tonight, but not next Saturday.
Do you think?
Trust me.
In regards to
Crawford could still be
Crawford,
competitive with Crawford, or is he seen better?
He can, but it's tough for him to make 147, and Crawford's a great fighter. But, you know, in terms of availability for challengers, Kell Brook's a great fighter, and, you know, he likes the fight.
in regards to that fight, is it going to be in the UK or America?
Probably America.
Are you looking to make a unification fight with Maurice Hooker and either
Yes.
Jose Ramirez or
Yeah,
one
we
of
made
these
an offer
fighters?
to Top Rank. We're in discussions with Top Rank for that fight in July. There's other fights out. He's ready for a big fight, Maurice Hooker. I like Mikey Garcia against Maurice Hooker as well. I think 140 is going to be the natural place for Mikey to sit right now. And I think why not fight Maurice Hooker in Texas?
And the 140 pounders are fighting on the zone. Is that another?
Well, you've got the
fight?
Super Series coming on.
Right.
So Josh Taylor's fighting Barancic,
Exactly.
May the 18th. The winner's going to come out with 2 belts. We got the WBO. So all the belts really will be on the zone. Apart from the
WBA's on the
WBC.
line tomorrow with Regis Program,
Yeah.
Carolina.
So it's all good. Oh, I'm glad they said that. Now they know I'm going to expose them next week. Yeah, well, first of all, they issued a statement saying we lowballed them, we're messing them around. Then I told you guys that I'm going to expose them next week. And then they come out and went, oh, actually, it was our fault. So don't worry, you'll see next week. But they're going to go into hiding for a few days.
Did you talk to Anthony Sims about his performance?
Not yet, no. I
Anything-
thought it was okay. But I'm expecting
More?
excellence from Anthony Sims. And I just thought it was a decent performance.
Where do you see him going
I
from
thought he
here?
was a bit flat. I think he needs to be tested in a proper fight. I want him to fight Rocky Fielding.
He blamed training camp as the reason he was flat.
Did he?
You give that as a reasonable
Sometimes I'm boxing off fighters too often. So he spent a lot of his career inactive. He didn't box for a year. And now I'm probably making him too active because that's what we do. So every now and again, a fighter just needs to take 2 or 3 months off, just recharge their body, try and get rid of that flatness. And maybe that was the problem. But I will talk to him and see why he was flat tonight.
Eddie, tonight next to you, John Ryder. He'll be in the ring next
Yeah,
weekend.
Bilal Akbar, it's a great fight.
Correct.
Yeah.
Obviously, the new fight fell off, but the Bilal fight is a great fight.
Really good fight.
Can you talk to us a little bit about that and how you expect your fighter to perform?
I think
next
it's
weekend?
a war. I think Ackwell is all action. I don't think he has the ring craft of someone like a Lemieux or a John Ryder. But it's going to be lively early on, and then I think John Ryder's going to take control and stop him late on in the fight.
Eddie, many times you hear something, you read something, you don't know if it's true
How
or
did you
not.
get there? You were there a minute ago.
Yeah, the angle's moved. I need a better shot. Thanks for noticing. King Kong Ortiz, is it true you offered it 5 and he turned it down? That's a lot of money.
I offered him more than that, my friend, and you'll find out next week.
But why would someone put it out there that they turned it down? So it's not true.
But then when I told them I'm going to expose them, they said, oh, actually, yeah, they did, and you know. But don't worry, because I'm sick and tired of people trying to pretend that Anthony Joshua is the one ducking fights, when these guys are the ones that are shit scared of Anthony Joshua. Some people are even sticking needles in their arse to try and beat Anthony Joshua. So, you know.
What does it say that the heavyweights are lined up to get this fight with the opportunity pending that there's?
But
that you have to go through all these obstacles?
that's why the person that I'm going to pick is someone that I believe thinks they can win this fight and will do everything to win this fight, rather than just saying how much is it, you know, or how much is it, and then thanks, and then let me just stick every drug in my body to try and be superhuman on the night to beat Anthony Joshua. So if you can't beat him fair and square, don't even bother.
Right.
But don't fight him for the money, fight him for the world heavyweight title because you think you can win. And there's a couple of people out there that I think have that mindset, and they're the ones I want, because I don't want to go to Madison Square Garden and watch him bowl someone over in a round. I want to see him in a war. I want to see someone trying to take his head off legally.
We have an opponent for Callum Smith. He'll be.
Yeah, that'll be announced next week. We're just finalising it this weekend. Callum Smith will be defending his world title on the card as well. And Katie Taylor will be in an undisputed fight. And there'll be 3 or 4 other fights that will be announced, championship fights as well.
When can we see Tevin Farmer back? PBC's
Well, the problem with
Leonard
Tevin Farmer
Ellerbe
is-
have spoke
yeah.
on Gervonta coming to Baltimore in July. Do you think that we can make that fight happen at the end of this year?
I'd like to think so. I mean, we've got a mandatory, Guillaume Fremois, the Frenchman. So the problem is with Tevin, I've been boxing him about every 4 or 5 weeks. So he's blowing up my phone saying, oh, you know, I haven't boxed for a month. So I wanted him to have a little rest. I think he'll be out in July. and we're just working on a date for him at the moment. And then there's no reason why that fight can't happen. Listen, they can do it on Showtime if they want. It's not a problem. Just pay him the money that I'd pay him, and we'll get it done.
Do you make anything of the backlash that Leonard Ellerby and some of the other individuals across the street have gave you? We just saw a few weeks ago here in LA.
Let me tell you something about Leonard Ellerby. Right? You get this, Ellie, right? Leonard Ellerby's turned into a hater, right? And I thought better of him. Now this is a guy who's liking tweets, criticising me on Twitter. Do you know what that is? That's a hater. And Leonard Ellerby should know better, because I'm out here on the hustle. This is something that he preaches about, right? So he should be loving what I'm doing rather than being salty about what I'm doing. So Leonard, if you're watching, come on, man. We're all trying to earn an honest buck out here. You should be, get behind me, embrace me. Don't be a hater, because you always said haters are no good. Be positive, embrace, wish everybody success. So I hope that he can get over that little period. I like Leonard Ellerby, I'm a big fan. Not sure about his shoes or his sunglasses, but we can work on that too.
So there's been talks that a major reason as to why Luis Ortiz turned down the offer was because he was offered more for a Wilder rematch later this year.
Well, if he is, fucking congratulations, my friend. And also, I've just seen a pig fly across the forum. It was unbelievable. I'll tell you next week what Luis Ortiz was offered for that fight. And I better hope, for Luis Ortiz's sake, and his kids and their kids' sake, that it's as much money that they're going to get for this supposed Deontay Wilder fight. And are you really telling me that you've already been offered and guaranteed the Deontay Wilder fight, yet this man and their team are talking about, oh, Joshua doesn't want the undisputed fight, and you've set up 2 fights for Deontay Wilder already after the Dominic Breazeale fight? That's how serious they are about the Anthony Joshua fight.
Is Luis Ortiz the boogeyman or...
Is he the boogeyman? Joshua would destroy Luis Ortiz. 3 rounds, no problem. And I'll tell you what, if Luis Ortiz wants to do it after June 1, no problem. We'll sign a contract to do that as well.
Who do you see as the most competitive fight for Joshua out of everybody that's in the running?
Alexander Usyk.
Out of everyone
Tyson Fury. Oh, in the running? I think Michael Hunter's a tough fight. I think Andy Ruiz is a good fight. Trevor Bryan's in the mix. I don't think he has the pedigree, to be honest, for that fight and that occasion. But Don King's phoning me a million times a day, and maybe I'll just give in one day as well. I think, those guys, those 3, really, I think are in the mix.
Well, you were talking about earlier, you'd want a guy to come to fight,
yes,
and not to survive. Is that what you would see happening if Ruiz or Hunter fought Joshua? They would get knocked out brutally, because they would come to fight?
No, I don't think. I think Hunter would be extremely awkward. I think he's an excellent talent. I think he's a good mover. I think it would be a tough, awkward fight for Joshua. I think Andy Ruiz would come and give it everything, swing those fast hands, try and throw bombs, and I think he would get knocked out. I do, but I think it would be sensational, and I think Joshua would have to come through certain storms. He doesn't look it, but he's very fit. He's just coming off a win, and he believes he can win. And I want someone that thinks they can win. Someone that rather goes, look, if you give me this much, I'll take it. I'm not interested in that. I know you've got to get as much money as you can, but come to win, because it's a life-changing moment. The World Heavyweight Championship at Madison Square Garden. That's something you dream of.
So is Hunter still in the...
Yes, yeah,
could still get the fight?
yeah.
Did you happen to see Ruiz's fight last?
Yeah, I thought he looked good.
So after the fight, he said that if he were to get the fight, he would get back in the gym that same
He's already in the gym. He's already in the gym waiting. We're speaking to his team. It's not done yet. There's things to be done. There's contracts to be finalised. But he's a strong contender for this fight.
How's AJ taking everything?
Absolutely fine. He's ultimate pro. He's impressed me so much. He's stood by. He hasn't even asked me. I phoned him. It's been nearly, I think it's 8 days or 9 days since. I would have liked to announce it a couple of days ago, but it won't be long.
If there are no Americans that you like in the running, will you go elsewhere? UK
Elsewhere.
Fighter, even though it's at MSG, but if
the whole thing is, I think, making it an American film. I think that's important. Even though I think we sold 12,000 tickets to Brits, they're the ones travelling. Not alone the Brits in New York, but it makes it relevant to have a US film.
Eddie, do people realize that Demetrius Andrade could be the undisputed?
I know. They're sleeping on him. But I said to Andre the other day, I said, Demetrius, you have no idea what a position you are in. You are the final piece of the undisputed puzzle. And he's like, so it looks like he'll fight Sulecki June 28 or 29. in Providence. We're going to give him a homecoming. And then after that, he wants it. You know, he wants the undisputed fight. So, you know, although Danny Jacobs and him are friends, that's going to be the undisputed fight that could happen.
Do you feel he will get the winner of that? If he's successful in June, will he get the winner of
Yeah, I mean, look,
Jacobs Canelo?
Canelo's got a rematch clause, which I'm sure he might exercise, and you got Golovkin as well. But, you know, next week, Danny Jacobs is going to hold the keys.
You get all the credit for taking somebody like Demetrius Andrade, who's been blackballed all the way at the bottom, and now, like I said,
because I like that. I like challenges like that, and I like Demetrius Andrade. So I like it when someone says Demetrius Andrade, like he don't sell, he don't do this. Well, let's see how we get on in Providence. You know, maybe we can fill an arena, and it would be great. But what I do know is no one can be undisputed without fighting Demetrius Andrade,
right?
And he's very difficult to beat.
What do you consider to be the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world?
Danny Jacobs next weekend. I think Canelo is the pound-for-pound #1. I think Lomachenko is outstanding as well. So is Usyk. I mean, there's so many fights. So is Terence Crawford. So is Spence. But I think Canelo is the pound-for-pound #1. And like, you know, that's what Danny's fighting for next weekend. It's that big.
You expect him to win by decision or knock him out?
I thought he was going to knock him out, but now I think he's going to win by decision.
Is there any issues? There was a lot of criticism within the last week that Adelaide Bird was even in the.
Yeah, that was shit.
In the
You know,
pool for
yeah,
judges.
it's not that he was even in the pool. It's like a list of judges that are licensed by the commission, sent in. So we had to respond to that, give our reasons why not. So did Golden Boy. We ended up with, I think, a terrific judging panel. Ironically, it's the same panel that judged the last fight, which I actually felt was probably a draw, but Canelo got the judge. But Steve Weisfield is an outstanding referee. So is Moretti. And Glenn Feldman is one of the best judges in the world.
If I'm not mistaken, Feldman actually gave. He was a judge that gave Triple G the first one.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
In the first one, if I'm not mistaken, I know one of them did. So there's no issues on your side, on
No,
Danny's side.
I've spoken to the commission. I know the judges, as in they've worked our shows before. I've seen them judging major fights all over the world. They're honest. They're credible. They're very, very good judges. And I just believe that next week, I can see Danny Jacobs winning the decision. That's what I can see.
Most people think that Danny gave Triple G a harder fight than Canelo in his 2 fights. What do you think from that experience Danny can use to come out successful?
I just think he's very, very experienced. He's technically very good. He's very fast. He can punch. He can fight on the inside. He can box and move. You know, it's no secret that Canelo struggles against movers. But Danny can mix it up. You know, he can frustrate him on the outside and he can fight him on the inside as well. So don't get me wrong, it's going to be a really tough, it's a 50-50 fight. But I just honestly feel it, like, I just feel it's going to happen. It might be wrong, but I don't think so.
You said that you got 12,000 travelers, 12,000 Brits coming from the UK for Joshua.
Yeah.
That's going to sell out the Garden.
Yeah.
Next weekend, we're 8 days away. There are thousands of tickets still available for Canelo, Danny Jacobs.
Yeah, but you know, you say thousands. There may be a few thousand left on fight week to Joshua. They go. You know, the one thing you do in the US is people buy late. Do you know what I mean? So in the UK, they buy the day it goes on sale. But in Vegas, that'll be sold out next week, no question. But you know, they've priced it aggressively, so that's probably why. If they, you know, so but that's the way it is. But I don't see that fight not selling out. I'm sure it will.
Eddie, since nobody else has brought it up, I'm gonna just bring it up. Can you give us the secret for the hair?
What?
The secret for the hair.
My hair.
See, I'm going bald,
Mate,
so I need to know the
crafty
secret.
combing, just like comb it over and hide the receding hair. Grow a beard, get it shorter at the sides, and you're all good.
Eddie, Spence Crawford if they fight. Who do you like?
Whoa. Spence. I just think he's bigger, stronger. I don't know, man. I like Terence Crawford as well. It's a great fight.
WBC just announced that Spence, Sean Porter's next. Hasn't been we haven't been given a location or an exact date. Barclays was thrown out there, but they said that is next. What do you make of that fight? And they said it will not be pay-per-view.
Okay.
The rumors are.
I don't know how they're going to fund it, but it's a good fight. You know, Porter's got to go back to his old style to win that fight. His old style of mauling and being super aggressive, because I think Spence, he's strong, he can fight on the inside, and he showed against Mikey Garcia. Technically, he's very good as well.
Eddie, what's your opinion about PEDs? Since we know what happened with Jarrell Miller, we know what's happened with a lot of boxers. We haven't heard your perspective on how PEDs have affected the sport of boxing.
My perspective is that there's a huge PED problem in America. And I think there's a huge PED problem everywhere. But do you know how many fighters in this country are not getting tested? Like, it encourages you to cheat, you know? Like, the WBC are doing a great job, but they can't fund the system in a way that is needed. Like, when you do individual VADA testing, like we do for Joshua fights, and a lot of people do for the big fights, it's $40,000 or $50,000 for one fight. You can't do that throughout the whole card. But the WBC are trying, and at least there's the threat and the fear of being tested.
So what do you think the punishment should be when a fighter fails a PED test?
It depends on the severity, the substance, all this kind of stuff. I mean, Jarrell is another story. That may be one of the biggest doping captures of all time in boxing. You know, when that comes out, when the truth really comes out about the excessiveness. But I just feel like the commissions and even a national body or even the government have got to come together and say, right, we have to do something here to test American fighters, because it's crazy. You know, what's the point in a commission doing a drugs test on the night? Like, they're even wasting money. I'd rather they put that money in just to say, right, you will be randomly tested once during your 12-week camp. We'll not tell you when it is, but what's the point in doing it on the night? You know, every commission should have a drug testing procedure and program in place for fighters licensed to that individual commission, right? So if you're with the New York Commission and you hold a New York license, there should be a random testing program in place for New York Commission fighters, and every commission should do that. It's expensive, that's the problem. So maybe it has to be government funded, but someone's going to lose their life in the ring by someone who's using PEDs, and then that will kill the sport forever.
And now,
Is it true that Jarrell won't be suspended?
Sorry?
Is it true that Big Baby won't be suspended?
No, well the problem is he doesn't hold a license in New York, so they can't do anything. The New York Commission, right? If he did, they'd suspend him immediately. So what he has to do is he has to reapply in any commission he likes. I can't see any commission granting him a license at the moment. Certainly in this country.
Go to Texas.
But
How did he have a fight with Joshua with no boxing license?
say that again?
How did he have a
Because
fight?
you have to apply for your license, which he applied for his license, but he got denied. It's a very simple process. If you're not suspended anywhere, or you've got no issues, it gets done in a day. But obviously now, it's a different story.
Anybody that from the past, any great fighters Devin Haney reminds you of, since being that you just signed him?
It's a tough question. A little bit of Floyd, thrown in with a bit of Pernell Whitaker, a little bit of Sugar Ray Leonard sprinkled on the top. That's Devin Haney.
Could he be as big a star as those guys, though?
Yeah, it's a long way to go. He's 20 years old. He's had 21 fights. He's a super talent.
What do you think of his following? He has such a huge following, traveling all over the country, selling out. He had smaller venues, but
No, he's very. Listen, he's the young. You know, he's the new wave. He's a young superstar. So we look forward to it.
Eddie, how mature is he mentally? He's like a 50-year-old guy.
Dude,
He's smart.
super smart. He's so smart. He signed with me.